I'm Seth Newman, and for the last 15 years or so, I've had the privilege of chairing the Bay Area SIG meet, which is a meet put on by a couple of the major special interest groups, SIGs, and the Pacific Coast region of the NMRA, which the Coast Division is based in the San Francisco Bay Area. So we hold a meet once a year, which has a series of clinics of layout design and operation interest. It's buttressed by a layout tour, usually on a Saturday evening after we do our clinic and panel program. We have a consulting program during the day to help people who are trying to design their layouts or develop an operating scheme. And then we have layout tours in the evening. And then on the Sunday, we invite people to come back and operate on several of the layouts. The meeting is held annually. It's usually the last weekend in January, which is the weekend between NFL playoffs and the Super Bowl. So, there's not too much TV distraction, and it's really become a little bit of a landmark on the Bay Area model railroading calendar. We typically draw 100 people or so. The major clinic form is what I call the design to operation clinic, where somebody talks about their prototype, the railroad they want to model, and the design process they went through, the decisions they made, and the layout they have designed. And hopefully it's a layout that's actually been built and there are some lessons learned. Now today we had two clinics about layouts that had been featured previously in earlier SIG meets, and now the owners have come back and said, well, I've gotten in one case to operation, and here's what we've been learning in the early days, and here's some things we did that really worked well, and here's some things that we probably wouldn't try again. So we get, people who are just generally interested in design and ops, but we also get a lot of people who are saying, I'm about to design a layout or build a new layout, or for one reason or another I want to make some changes in my layout, and you come in and certainly there are many great ideas to be had from the clinics, and more specifically Byron Henderson, the editor of the Layout Design SIG's Layout Design Journal, the LDJ, has been running a consulting program over in the next building here, and you can come in and get a design review.
Today we are, as part of the PCR, NMRA, LDSIG OPSIG meet that we hold each year, we do consultations for layout design and operations. So people come in from every level. Either they have a very finished layout and just want a little tweaking, or they're just at the very beginning, maybe just have some notes on a placemat or something. And we start there, we help them with design issues, we help them try to figure out how to do more with their layout and have more fun. It turns out that time, money, space are really constraints in the hobby. The one thing we can share freely is knowledge. So we try to give people as much of that as we can.
This idea that there's something important about layout design that is more than just a simple collection of track that runs around in a circle, that there are things that you do want to do. We have an eraser that says, make only new mistakes. Only erase so many things. You shouldn't have to keep making the same mistakes as we develop and spread the knowledge. And so the event that is occurring today is the culmination of now 30-something years. It's the biggest regional sort of event like this. There's a few others around the country, and then of course every year the Layout Design SIG has its national convention as part of the National Model Railroad Association convention. Has a very famous layout design tour. And it's all about how do you think through the issues of what you're trying to accomplish. As we saw in one of the presentations today, what sort of story are you looking to tell? All right. At another presentation, it was, well, I used to have this tiny little layout in a 12 by 12 room, and now I have 1,200 square feet, right? What do I do and how do I get there?
My name's Jeff Allen, and I'm a middle school math teacher, and I've been building a model railroad in my middle school classroom over the last 5 years. And this is the fourth year that I've come to the LDSIG conference and availed myself of the counseling and the consulting that's available for layout design issues. And it has been marvelous. It's amazing, wonderful opportunity, and it has unlocked lots of design problems. Anybody that's done any design of anything knows that you get your head into a design and begin to overlook potentially obvious alternatives. And every year I've had new vistas opened up. It's been tremendous, and it's always, anybody can help see what you're overlooking, but the wise counsel of people that have been there many times has really made my layout something that I not only can be more proud of, but that works really well.
Nobody knows everything. There's way too much to know in the hobby. Even if you have a strong vision, a design review is valuable. You want to bring your plan in and present it to a bunch of knowledgeable people who haven't had their head in the process, so they're not, having groupthink or collective blindness, and test that before you go too much further. So it's good design sense, and people will ask questions that may have just not occurred to you.
So all of this is a learning experience, and it all has grown, from living rooms to spare rooms to, a freight house down in Santa Clara at the Santa Clara Depot, and it kept outgrowing itself. And so now you have between 90 and 110 people that show up, and you have a whole range of activities. And it's become an incredibly important part of the overall hobby. And so it's now spawned professional publications by Kalmbach Publications and others. And all of this has started, the initial guy was named Doug Gurin. And he had the idea that, we really should try and connect and talk about this stuff. And the first issues were mimeographed, okay? And then copied, right? And eventually, and now they have full color publications put on by the Layout Design SIG. An amazing change, and in watching the evolution through the hobby, I think it's important to be able to go back and say, it wasn't really accepted. Even in the 1940s, there were discussions about operations. And there were some very famous people, okay, who model railroaders, okay, who talked about it and did it, but it didn't become something that the hobby as a whole really owned or became involved in. Now, you can't have a layout article in a publication without talking about how you're operating your railroad and discussing the layout design concepts that went into it.
We have, I would say, 3 more or less public events. The 2 of them really are, if not exactly aimed at, very welcoming to new operators, and those are the SIG meet. We definitely want to give people a chance to try, for all the reasons we just discussed. And the other one is when we have the PCR convention in the Bay Area. Those are open sessions, and for many of those guys, they may operate once a year, and it's probably at PCR. So we try to have an operating program that's open to anybody in the region who's interested. And that, assumes a certain interest in scale modeling. They may not be strict prototypers, they may not be operators, but, they have some basic train handling skills and understand what we're generally trying to do. The third event is Bay Rails, which is really aimed at fairly advanced operators, and people travel from certainly all over North America, and not unheard of to have, people from the UK, New Zealand, and Australia participating. So, that's probably a little higher level of motivation. Don't know if that exactly translates to a higher level of skill, but we do get a fairly advanced class of operators in that group. And that one, it's probably not the best place to be learning, because everybody else is going to be operating at kind of an unstated but high level. This one, hey, if you make a mistake, well, it's part of learning. So let's see if we can show you why we wouldn't do it that way.
The event today is now like a 2.5-day event, and involves a whole day of layout design and consultations. Tomorrow there'll be operating sessions. Tonight there are layout tours. The first one that I went to, there were 5 of us in this guy's breakfast nook, okay? And this is about like 1985, 1986.
This year, we really had some fun with it. The SMART had opened last year, Sonoma Marin Rapid Transit, and we met at the Hamilton station and took a round trip. We took the train down to San Rafael and then back all the way north to Sonoma Airport near Windsor and back down to where we started, and then we headed off to dinner. And those of us who didn't want to deal with commuting in the morning got rooms at the hotel here in Petaluma and got up, and we've been having a program today of clinics and panels and a design challenge where we give several intrepid contestants a modeling subject and some parameters. In this case, it's Klamath Falls in a certain amount of space, which I think was 20 by 20, and basically have at it. You pick the area, you pick the railroads, you pick the scale, and so I'm hoping to see some really interesting plans later this afternoon. We'll knock that off around 5 in the afternoon, and then starting around 7 we'll have 8 or 9 layouts available in Sonoma Marin and then up north towards Healdsburg. So I'm going to go see 4 layouts I've never seen before. Tomorrow, Sunday, will be open for operations, and those will be certainly open to everybody who came, but one of the key things is that newbies are welcome. So if you've never operated before, you hear about the importance of designing for operation, you get a chance to operate and see what you like and see what works for you and what doesn't. So it comes out to be a 3-day program, and it's been quite popular. As I say, something like half of the attendees have been here 5 times or more, so people keep coming back.
How you doing, John?
I know you were trying to avoid it.
I was.